What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 69 Baja Outdoors. On this episode, we are going to be doing a titanium wrap on Mud Cricket's exhaust system, and I'm going to give you a little few tips and tricks on the exhaust wrap. We are doing a titanium wrap, and they say you're not supposed to wear gloves, or you don't have to wear gloves, but I think we're going to do that in this case. So let's get to it. So a few things you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need some titanium wrap. You're going to need some stainless steel zip ties, a decent pair of needle nose pliers. They don't have to be long ones like these. A pair of snips for cutting the zip tie after you tighten them. You're going to need a good pair of scissors for cutting the titanium wrap. And this is nothing more than an old screwdriver that I had. I cut the tip off of it and cut a slot in it. And we're going to use these for tightening the zip ties or stainless steel ties. And one of my tips and tricks, you're going to need a small scribe or a really like a jeweler's screwdriver. I grabbed the whole kit because sometimes you can't really get up in there, and I'm going to explain that right now. So on the zip tie, how this works is there's a small stainless steel ball inside there. And all that does is roll back and forth. As you're tightening the zip tie, you're going to want to reach in here and push that ball to the back so that when you release tension, it stays right where it was. It doesn't have to move that little bit of excess to get tight. Oh, you're also going to need an exhaust. So let's get to it. I have enclosed my stainless steel zip tie. Well, you can take another zip tie, push it inside, and pull on it, and it'll actually come apart. Because what you're doing is you're pushing that little ball to the back side up here to give it clearance so it's not creating a pinch point. Now, normally when I do Volkswagen exhausts, I screw them to a 2x4, clamp that in the vise, and that gives you, pretty stout. You can actually wrap on it really well. So coincidentally, I have a leftover roll, and that should be just enough to do this pipe here. So we're going to get started on that. So now that we've got our gloves on, first thing we're going to do is trim up this edge a little bit. Then we are going to fold it into a small triangle, like so. Just like that. And then we're going to fold it over itself. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to start. This is the bottom of the pipe, by the way. I do like to keep all of my joints at the bottom. I can't go too close to the bolt holes because I'll never get the bolts in there. So I do have to leave a little bit of gap there. And because these are freshly painted, the wrap should stick fairly well. So now that we've got this started, normally I would not take tension off of this, but this wrap here is pretty tight. This being the bottom of the pipe, I always want to try to have my zip ties at the base where they're not going to be seen. Get them as close to the end as you can, but not too close. That's probably good right there. We're going to pull this tight as I can get it by hand. Now, one of the tricks is I'm using a hook scribe, or a hook, whatever you want to call it. to push on the ball that's in here. And when you pull it tight, there's no rebound of the ball sliding in. A lot of times, you pull them tight, and then when you let it go, it kind of relaxes a little bit. It's because the ball has to travel to a tight spot. But if you put the hook in there and push on that ball, and you pull on it, I mean, that's pretty snug. Then we've got this tool here that I made. It was an old screwdriver laying around. I just cut a slit in it. We slide that on there like so, and then rotate it. And again, you can put the hook in there. You can see it relaxing. I guess maybe that's not in far enough. Okay, so there's that. We pull this tight. We're going to pull on this a little bit. We're going to take our wire cutters and we're going to cut it down towards the base. After that little bent edge, cut them there. We're going to bend this little tab up underneath like so, and then just kind of push it down. And then this way, there's nothing for you to hook yourself on. You don't get caught on that. It's not a sharp edge, and it's just a lot safer. So one of the things, once you make it to the end, or very close to the end, you're going to take your scissors and just kind of trim up the edges a little bit. You don't want any hairs sticking out of it, so to speak. And then again, we are going to try, well, this, I probably just fold it over itself in this case here, because it's a flat end. We're going to pull it tight, try to keep everything in place. Our zip tie. And once again, this side, geez, oh Pete. This side is the side that's facing the engine. So again, try to hide the end of the zip tie itself. I usually use 2 zip ties on each. I'm actually out of zip ties at the moment, which is kind of embarrassing, but we take our little special tool. And I mean, and that's tight. It's not going nowhere. Again, pull your piece out, cut it, needle nose pliers. This one's a little bent. I'm trying to visualize it. We're just going to bend that underneath a little bit better. Well, that didn't get tight, did it? That didn't get very tight at all. Okay. Now we're off to the new roll because my stainless steel zip ties finally came in. Now that we have all of this on the engine, not quite tight yet. I do need to tighten all of these. I had to wait for this to be on, but I wanted to give you a rundown. This will be sandblasted, painted, but we are going to set the engine cage back on, and then we're going to fabricate a new exhaust. And with the busy schedule I have now, unfortunately we are out of time for this week's video. I'm hoping next week we can get all of this finished. I'm not sure if we're going to do the exhaust and the hoses, or maybe both if I can find time. That's to be determined, but I will definitely have something next week. Fingers crossed. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed the new look. I hope I haven't given false information. That's how I did it on this particular exhaust. If by any means you've got other tips and tricks you want to add, please comment below. If you've enjoyed this week's video, please consider subscribing and make sure to like and share if you would. That would be awesome because it really helps out the channel. And with all of that being said, be good to one another, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.